Okay, maybe they're not two blockbusters. I'd say they're two middle-of-the-pack kind of deals. But the fact that the Winnipeg Jets have made two trades to acquire two guys that will significantly help out their playoff run, oh boy, baby. Oh my gosh. The West? Heck, not even the West. The Central is gonna be a bloodbath, baby. Mikko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars, Marty Necas and Brock Nelson to the Colorado Avalanche, and now the Winnipeg Jets are grabbing Luke Schenn, folks. And it's not even just Luke Schenn, who was flipped a few days ago from Nashville to Pittsburgh, now Pittsburgh over to Winnipeg. But the Winnipeg Jets are also reuniting with a familiar face. Let's go out there and skip past the Jonathan Kovacevic and Scott Laughton trade. Let's go out there and see this. So, Brandon Tanev over to the Winnipeg Jets for a second in 2027. Brandon Tanev is heading back to Winnipeg, everybody, to join Luke Schenn, who was flipped from Pittsburgh to Winnipeg just a few minutes ago. Let's keep this open just so we can refer to it a little bit later. There you go. So, Luke Schenn for a second and a fourth, Brandon Tanev for a second. So that's some pretty tidy business, admittedly, from the Winnipeg Jets' point of view. 2 seconds and a fourth to grab on to Brandon Tanev, whom the Jets are familiar with, as well as Luke Schenn, a good veteran pro, heading over to Winnipeg to help this team out in their playoff run. Look, it's not Mikko Rantanen. It's not even Brock Nelson. It's not Andrei Kuzmenko even. But these guys have those intangibles that will make the Winnipeg Jets a lot more difficult to play against, and we're going to dive into that more here in this video. So firstly, I just wanted to say at the very beginning of this video, Pittsburgh, Luke Schenn, I don't even think he had time to play a game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Did he play a game? No, he did not. He was sent over to Penguin Town, he didn't play, and now he's sent over to Winnipeg, so imagine that upgrade. Luke Schenn speaks very publicly in the media about how his Nashville Predators team cannot score any goals. It's been a very big issue, even though the team has Marchessault, Stamkos, everybody else. Now they got Michael Bunting. But Schenn, publicly on the record, goes out against his team, talks about how they can't score any goals, and just in the matter of a few days, he goes from playing on one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League. If we head over to the standings here, take a look at where that Nashville team is, all the way down there at the bottom, 30th overall for the Predators. He goes from this team at the bottom here, all the way to team number 1 in Winnipeg. They were already the best team in the league, with the amount of scoring they're getting from guys like Scheifele, Connor, Vilardi, Ehlers. And now Luke Schenn went from last to first in the span of a few days, with a little pit stop in Pittsburgh in between there. The 27th worst team. 27th worst? 27th best team in the NHL. Yeah, the 27th team. So, from Nashville to Pittsburgh all the way to number 1. Talk about a turn for the ages here. Luke Schenn is absolutely going to go to town in Winnipeg. Big guy, 6'2", 225, a right-handed defenseman, a shutdown player. I have said my praises for Luke Schenn so much over the past few years. In particular, that 2022-2023 Vancouver Canucks stint, 21 points in 55 games played. In the absence of some of the other guys on that Vancouver team, Luke Schenn really stepped up and was one of the better players on that squad's blue line. Just his overall defensive prowess, the shot blocking, the physicality, he would hit anything that moves, and he was able to produce points. For some reason, this guy was a puck-moving machine. 21 points in 55 games played. That was a career season when it comes to Luke Schenn, point per game wise. I mean, he had a 22-point year in 2010-2011, but he did that in 82 games played. So Luke Schenn definitely evolving with the times here. Obviously, he wasn't producing much in Nashville because they can't score, but still, Luke Schenn provided so much value onto this team, making $2.75 million a year to the end of next season. So for this year and next, Luke Schenn is going to be a part of a really, really strong playoff contender in Winnipeg. What a get for the Jets. No wonder it cost them 2 draft picks, a second and a fourth. But then you also have Brandon Tanev. Tanev to the Jets for a second in 2027. Take a look at this tweet made by AFP Analytics as to the entire transaction here. Good fourth liner gets moved to a top contender. Teams love players like Tanev. It'll be interesting to see if it can turn into a long-term fit. Brandon Tanev, if we head over to his profile here on EliteProspects.com, he's a pretty good pro too. 33 years old, 6 feet, 181, signed on to the end of this season, making 3.5. It was already reported that the Seattle Kraken would be interested in retaining salary for Brandon Tanev in order to facilitate a trade. Of course, Tanev was a part of the Winnipeg Jets organization all those years ago, signing on after playing with the Providence College in the NCAA team. So this obviously is a familiar face for Winnipeg. He had 29 points in 80 games played in 2018-19 with the Jets. But his career season came 2 seasons ago with the Seattle Kraken, scoring 35 points in 82 games played, 16 goals and 19 assists there. The Kraken were shot out of a cannon in that 22-23 campaign, defeating the reigning defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche team in the first round of the playoffs, where Tanev had 4 points in 14 total games. Last season, Tanev had 16 points in 66 games played. This season, he's got 17 points in 60 games played, on pace for about 23 points on the year. So while it's true that I don't necessarily think Tanev is going to go over to Winnipeg and light the league on fire with production, he is a very versatile name who blocks shots, who moves well, he's physical, he can be a really nice complementary piece in the bottom 6 of the Winnipeg Jets. These two guys, Schenn and Tanev, they just make the Jets a lot more difficult to play against, and they bring intangibles that they otherwise would not have had. So for 2 seconds and a fourth, I honestly don't think this is the worst piece of business you can do, especially since it's like, hey, Winnipeg's literally number 1 in the league right now. What do you need from them? They don't need a Mikko Rantanen-like asset to be competitive. They're already competitive. Sure, I guess there's a reputation around the NHL and amongst NHL fans that says that the Winnipeg Jets are a lot more of a pretender than they are a contender. It's been one of the main talking points over the past few years, I would say, even especially last year when Winnipeg Jets had themselves a very strong season. They were 4th best in the league, yet there was still sentiment floating around saying, hey, this Winnipeg team, they're not really all too great. They're kind of a pretending team. Don't be afraid to match up against Winnipeg in the first round of the playoffs, and that's exactly what happened, pretty much. The Jets kind of fumbled it. So who knows if that reputation is still going strong here. But one thing's for sure, with names like Brandon Tanev and Luke Schenn heading over to the Jets, this is going to be a lot easier for them, and with the price of 2 seconds and a fourth to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Seattle Kraken, I think this definitely does work well for what the Winnipeg Jets are trying to build. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about a second and a fourth over to Pittsburgh for Luke Schenn. So guess what? They flipped him already. And what are your thoughts on Brandon Tanev to Winnipeg for a second round pick to the Seattle Kraken? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.